What's up, you guys? Miko here from That Remote Life, and today we're going to be discussing the top 3 cities for digital nomads in Bulgaria. Before we dive into that, however, if you are new to the channel, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe. I publish new videos every single week about the digital nomad lifestyle, remote work, and building an online business while traveling the world. So if that sounds like something that you are interested in, hit the subscribe button so you never miss a new video. But first, a little bit of a background. So if you guys don't know me, I was born in Bulgaria. And then when I was 10 years old, I immigrated to the United States, went to the schooling system there, got my first career experience, and then ended up becoming a digital nomad. And since then, I've kind of rediscovered Bulgaria, my birth country, as an amazing place for digital nomads, remote workers, and online business owners. And it's becoming more and more popular now as more people find out about it, as more people visit, and more bloggers and podcasters and YouTubers create content about it. So in this video, I really want to tell you about the 3 main places that if I were you, I would look at when coming to visit Bulgaria. So with that, let's dive right into the number 3 place, and that is Bansko, Bulgaria. So Bansko, Bulgaria is a very interesting place because it has been a popular winter destination for skiing and snowboarding for many, many years. But believe it or not, it's becoming more and more popular for digital nomads, and it may even be the place that you've heard the most about in Bulgaria. And that's because 2 guys, Matthias and Uwe, who I've actually had on my podcast before. If you want to check that out, you can see a link for it down below. But Matthias and Uwe noticed that Bansko would make a good place for a co-working space and to build a digital nomad community. Not so much focus on the beach experience, but more focus on this sort of mountain or snow experience focused digital nomads. And so they created a co-working space called Coworking Bansko. And that co-working space has gathered a lot of attention, and it's attracted a lot of digital nomads to Bansko. And because of that, believe it or not, this little town in Bulgaria in the mountains has become a very attractive place for digital nomads. Now, some of the benefits of going to Bansko is that, one, it's a very beautiful village. It's a small town in the mountains, and it offers a lot of activities because of that. So in the winter, you can enjoy some very high quality snowboarding and skiing, but in the winter, there's plenty of hiking and outdoor activities because the mountain is right there. Bansko is also relatively close to Sofia, which is the capital and the largest airport in Bulgaria. So getting to Bansko is actually relatively easy. You just fly into Sofia, and then it's a very short drive to Bansko, about an hour, hour and a half, depending on road conditions. And I know that Coworking Bansko actually offers transportation. So if that's something that you're interested in and you don't want to worry about how to get there, you can find out more about that on their website and just let them figure out transportation for you. And that brings me to the next benefit of Bansko, which is Coworking Bansko, the co-working space there. The co-working space has grown a lot over the years since it was established, and now has multiple locations throughout the cities. They have one location that's in the center of the city. They have one location that's actually really close to the slopes, so you can literally be skiing or snowboarding and then pop in, get some work done, and then leave and do some more snowboarding and skiing. So the co-working space there is very, very good, and because the co-working space is so high quality, they've also attracted a large community of people. So Bansko, even though it's a very small town relative to the rest of the cities in Bulgaria, it has actually attracted a lot of digital nomads. I think they have something like hundreds of nomads there at any time. And so if you're somebody who's looking for an established community, then Bansko could be a really good place for you to check out. Finally, the last benefit that I'm going to talk about in Bansko, or like the pro of Bansko, is that it has very affordable housing. So one of the interesting things that happened with Bansko was that before the '08 financial crisis, a lot of investors went into Bansko believing that it would be sort of like the next Alps location. And there were a lot of hotels built up, a lot of apartment and condo buildings. But unfortunately, the '08 financial crisis happened, and a lot of that interest and a lot of that forward momentum was lost. And so what we have now are actually a lot of available apartments, and that makes housing very, very affordable in Bansko. So not only can you find apartments that are very cheap to rent on a monthly basis, I know of some people that are spending as little as $100 a month for an apartment in Bansko, but also purchasing a home or condo in Bansko is very affordable. I've heard of prices as low as just a few $1,000s, like $5,000 or $6,000, or you can easily find apartments in the $15,000 to $20,000 range, kind of constantly. It's not very hard to find apartments at that price range. So this has made it a very attractive place for digital nomads who are looking to invest, buy a property that is cheap, kind of keep some things, and just maybe put down just a tiny little bit of roots. Have a place to kind of keep your things. I will offer up a warning on this that I would only purchase a property in Bansko if you're working with somebody who is there on the ground and can review the property, or if you yourself can go there and check it out before purchasing, because I've heard some horror stories of people buying an apartment there that was very cheap and seemed like an amazing deal, only to find out that it was the only occupied apartment in an apartment building, which obviously brings a lot of problems with that apartment just because of the structural integrity and the use of the pipes and all of these things. So definitely a little bit of a warning there, but I know that Uwe and Matthias have set up a lot of sort of support services in Bansko because there's been so much interest. So if you are interested in something like that, definitely check them out and the services they offer to make life a little bit easier on yourself. Now, Bansko might sound very good, but as you can see, it's actually number 3 on my list out of 3. And the reason for that is because Bansko has a lot of benefits, but it also comes with some negatives. So Bansko is a small town, and no matter what you do, you can't get away from that fact. It's a very small town. I'm not sure exactly what their population is, but it is quite small. It's very easy to walk from one edge of town to the other edge of town. So if you're somebody who is looking for more of a big city feel or a place that has more amenities to offer to you, then Bansko might not be the right choice. It's missing a lot of these big city perks that you might be used to. There's not a ton of restaurants and bars, for example, and there's not a lot of different foods. So if you're somebody who likes enjoying ethnic foods or foods from all over the world, then you may have difficulty finding what you're looking for in Bansko. Now, that's not to say that there aren't good restaurants and bars. I found some very nice food and nice places to have a drink when I was there, but there's just not a lot of them. There's not a lot of options, and that can certainly be a negative for some people. The other big negative for Bansko, which is kind of very obvious, is that it's not by the water. It's up in the mountains. And in my opinion, Bulgaria in general is a fantastic place to be in the summer. The winters can be pretty rough, but in the summer, it's a lovely place to be. So if I'm going to be spending a few weeks or a few months in Bulgaria, I don't want to be in the mountains. I want to be down by the beach in the summer. And so for that reason, Bansko is always going to be lower on the list for me, and I think for a lot of other people. No matter how good the co-working space is, no matter how good the community there is, it's not on the beach. So you're missing that sort of beach lifestyle if that's the sort of thing that you're into. So basically for that reason, Bansko is number 3 for me. There are other cities in Bulgaria that are way bigger than Bansko, but I think that the quality of the community in the co-working space there really puts it above most places in Bulgaria. But unfortunately, because it doesn't have a lot of those amenities that you might want from a place that you go visit, like different business amenities or restaurants, bars, and things like that. That's why it's number 3 for me, along with it not being close to the beach. All right, that brings us to the number 2 place in Bulgaria for digital nomads, and that is Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. Now, I absolutely love Sofia. It's one of my favorite places in Bulgaria, as you can see, as it is number 2. And it's just a really great place to be. The largest airport in Bulgaria is located there, so it's really, really easy for you to be connected to the rest of Europe or the world. So you can just fly directly into Sofia, and then if you want to take little, trips while you're staying in Bulgaria, you can do that very easily because the airport has lots of flights to most large European cities. Sofia is also the business center of Bulgaria, and that brings a lot of things with it. First of all, there are a lot of resources at your disposal if you are a freelancer or online business owner, because you can really find everything that you need in order to run your business there. There's lots of different legal services, tax services, and you can tap into entrepreneurial networks that already exist in Sofia. The other benefit that comes with a well-established business sphere is that there are lots of co-working spaces to choose from. So you're not reserved to just one co-working space or two like you are in Bansko. You can really pick from a bunch of different ones and find the one that you like the most. Sofia also offers a high quality of life. There are lots of great restaurants and bars and things to do in Sofia. You can go to the theater, you can go to the movies, you can go to really high rated fancy restaurants, you can go to really nice cocktail bars. There's basically a lot that Sofia can offer to people. So if you're somebody who is interested in that sort of lifestyle, then Sofia is definitely the place for you. The other nice thing about Sofia that has actually been a recent change, and by recent I mean kind of in the last decade or maybe 7 years, is that Sofia has actually built a very nice subway system that makes getting around the city very, very easy. The subway system is basically brand new. It's very clean. It's relatively efficient. I think they've done a good job kind of designing it, and it makes sure that it connects all the different parts of Sofia together, and they're constantly building new parts of the subway system. So if you don't want to have to worry about how you're going to get from point A to point B to point C, you don't want to have to worry about renting cars or getting buses or anything like that, or taking taxis, because Uber is not a thing in Bulgaria, by the way. So for all of these places, just know that you can't get an Uber. It's mainly taxis if you're looking for that mode of transportation. But in Sofia, you have the subway system, which is fantastic. And I barely ever use taxis when I'm in Sofia, and I almost never use buses. So the subway system is actually a very big pro for Sofia. And the final thing I will say about Sofia as a benefit is that don't assume that just because it is a large metropolitan city, you don't have lots of nature. So yes, as a big city, you are going to have to deal with those sort of negatives of it, like more traffic. The air quality is lower in Sofia than in a place like Bansko or some of the other places in Bulgaria. However, Sofia is very close to Vitusha mountain. You can actually take a taxi there, which makes it very easy to get to and really get out of the city and go in nature. Go for a nice hike, climb to the top of Vitusha. I've done the hike before and it's very, very pleasant. So nature is very close, even though you're living in a large city. Some of the other negatives that come with Sofia is that it is not on the beach. Like I said, if you're coming to Bulgaria looking for a nice beach lifestyle and just enjoy a European summer at lower costs, Sofia is not on the beach. It's actually in more of a valley. So a lot of people that live in Sofia that are Bulgarian actually tend to leave Sofia in the summer if they can, because just the weather isn't as great and they want to go out there and find the beach. So that's something to know about Sofia. But the other thing is that it is the most expensive city in Bulgaria. So even though it is still relatively low in terms of cost of living compared to other European cities and parts of the world, it is the highest cost of living in Bulgaria. So you're going to find that apartments are more expensive, food is more expensive, and just everything in general is more expensive in Sofia. So that's something to keep in mind if you're really looking to live on a budget, find really cheap accommodations. Sofia is likely not the place for you if you're really trying to maximize savings. If that's what you're looking for, I would definitely suggest going to Bansko, since the rent is just so low there, and so is the rest of the cost of living. But in general, those are my negatives for Sofia. I think that Sofia is a fantastic option. It's one of the places that I visit the most when I'm in Bulgaria, because it has so many co-working spaces. That's where all of the creators and thinkers and young people who are trying to make things happen tend to live in Bulgaria. It's where the most universities are. So it's going to have this sort of like young vibe that if that's your sort of thing, if you want to be around other entrepreneurs, around other people doing interesting things, then Sofia just has the highest concentration of that. All right, you guys, we have made it to the very top. The number one place in Bulgaria for digital nomads, in my opinion, is Varna. Now, I have to say, I might be a little bit biased about this because I was born in Varna and I grew up in Varna, but I honestly believe that Varna is one of the best places, if not the best place, for digital nomads in Bulgaria. And it's not just me saying this. I've brought a lot of friends to Bulgaria who have gone around and stayed in different places, and many of them have enjoyed Varna the most. I even had a friend who stayed in Sofia, and that was his long-term base in Bulgaria because he thought that he would like it the most, and then came and visited me in Varna and told me on his last day in Varna, he spent 3 days in Varna, and said, man, I really wish I had based myself here instead of Sofia because I just like the lifestyle here a lot more, and it's just more of what I was looking for. So it's not just me saying this, it's other people as well. But to jump into the benefits of Varna, the big one is that Varna is on the beach. Varna is the largest Bulgarian city on the beach. So the benefit of that is that you get a lot of the things that you are looking for from a city sort of living. You have a lot of amenities, you have a lot of resources if you're an entrepreneur. So you have all of those things that you normally find in large cities, but it comes in a smaller city package that, it's not a city that has millions of people. I believe that it hangs around more in terms of population, around 500,000 people. So you get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of what you can find in Varna as to the city not being so large. And it's right there on the beach. So you have all of the nice beach bars, beach restaurants, and sort of and the rest of the benefits of living on the beach. So you can do lots of fun activities like sailing, windsurfing, wakeboarding. All of those things are at your disposal right there in the city of Varna. Now, one of my favorite things about Varna, and the thing that really makes it a really great place for a digital nomad, is lots of co-working spaces and really, really fast Wi-Fi. So over the last couple of years, more and more co-working spaces have been popping up in Varna because there's just been so much demand. So many people are coming and liking Varna and deciding to work from there. So co-working spaces have been popping up, and now we have a good selection of, I would say, between 3 and 5 really decent co-working spaces that you can go visit and pick the one that you like the most. But if co-working spaces aren't your thing and you like to work from your Airbnb or a coffee shop, then you're going to be really excited because Varna has fantastic Wi-Fi. I was actually out at a fast food place once, at a doner kebab place, which if you've never had a doner kebab, then it's definitely something that you need to try when you come to Bulgaria, and I guarantee you're going to fall in love with it. But it's just a simple kind of fast food joint type of place, and I just kind of got curious. I got into their Wi-Fi, and it was 50 down and like 30 up. So fantastic Wi-Fi, better than some co-working spaces that I've been to. And that's just at a fast food place that in no way was advertising their Wi-Fi or was, setting themselves up for people to work from. But the Wi-Fi is really, really good in Varna. There's lots of coffee shops that have fast Wi-Fi that you can work from very easily. Now, while Varna is not as big as Sofia, it does attract a lot of restaurants and bars because Varna, for a long time, as a city, has a history of being one of the tourist destinations in Bulgaria. There was a lot of international travel to Bulgaria for decades, even as early as the 60s and 70s. So because of that, Varna actually does punch above its weight class in terms of restaurants and bars and just these sort of amenities. So if you're somebody who likes to enjoy food, likes to go to nice restaurants, likes to go to nice bars, have wine, cocktails, and so on and so forth, Varna does have a lot of those things. So because of that, I'd say that it punches above its weight class. Even though it's not a city as big as Sofia, it does, in my opinion, have a lot of the things that Sofia has, but just in a smaller package. Now, the other benefit of Varna is that it is an affordable place to live. It's not as cheap as Bansko and it's not as expensive as Sofia. So it kind of hits somewhere in the middle. The one caveat here is that if you're coming in the summer for a shorter stay, Airbnb prices can get higher just because Varna can attract tourists from other places in Europe. So Airbnb and hotel prices do tend to go up in the summer. But if you're coming for longer, let's say a few months, and you can get a long-term rental from the local market, housing is actually very affordable. So I was just doing a little bit of research for this video, and I had no problem finding apartments for as low as $250 per month in the center of the city with 2 bedrooms. So that means that for $250 a month plus, I would assume a little bit of utilities, you can be living in the center of the city, about 10 minutes to the beach. Finally, I just believe that Varna is a very nice place to be. Now, there's not a lot of tourist things to do, to be honest. Yes, there's a museum that you can go and check out, which has some pretty cool things in it. There's an old and very large cathedral that you can go and check out. And there's a few other small tourist things to do besides the beach. But other than that, there's really nothing else to sightsee in Varna. And really, Varna is just a good place to be and get work done and enjoy life. Kind of a day-to-day experience in Varna looks like, waking up, getting a coffee in one of the many cafes, heading to the co-working space to get work done for a majority of the day. And then oftentimes what we do is once we're done with work, we actually go down to the beach. We walk through the large park called the Sea Gardens that we have in Varna, which is kind of like Varna's equivalent of Central Park in New York. So it separates the city from the beach. So we'll walk through the Sea Gardens, we'll go down to the beach, and we'll enjoy drinks with friends. So that is kind of like, for me, besides the co-working spaces, the fast Wi-Fi, the good food and good bars, for me, Varna is just a good place because the beach is there and it offers all of the benefits of living next to the beach, but it's also a really great place to hang out and spend time in the summer. However, no place is perfect, and Varna does have some negatives. It is certainly not as big of a business and entrepreneurial hub as Sofia. So if for you the most important thing is a community of local and entrepreneurs from other parts of the world, then Varna isn't quite your place. Yes, there's a community. Yes, there are digital nomads that come there every summer. And yes, there are local entrepreneurs, but it's nowhere the size of the community that you will find in Sofia. So that is one of the negatives. Also, while Varna does punch above its weight class in terms of amenities like restaurants and bars and so on and so forth, it's just not as many as Sofia, or not necessarily as high a quality as Sofia. So in Sofia, you can go out there and you can get a 5-star meal from several places, and in Varna, that might be just one place. So if you are a foodie, if you love to go out and get the best food over and over and over again from lots of different places, if you enjoy fancy cocktail bars, Sofia does have more of that. So Varna may not be your first pick. And finally, in my opinion, one of the bigger negatives of Varna is that housing can get expensive if you're not in the local market. So like I said, most people are going to be coming in Varna during the summer. And if you're only coming for a short amount of time, then Airbnb prices can get high. And by high, I mean you can be looking at spending $1,000 or so for an apartment per month in Varna. So because of that, most people I'm guessing are going to be coming to Varna during the summer, and Airbnbs can get a bit more expensive during that time period. But if you can come for longer, go to the local market, scan the local websites, look at the different options that you can find. Even if you come to Varna and you walk the streets, a lot of times you can see apartments up for rent on the street that are posted up. So if you can come, get an Airbnb for a week or two, go out there, find a place on the local market, and then you can stay a few months there. And the trick that I learned from a friend is that if you book a place that is long-term, so for like a year or so, but you're only staying for a few months, then it's actually really easy to break the lease, and the fine is actually not that high at all. So you would, even with the fine of breaking the lease, the savings that you would get from a few months living in Bulgaria and paying the local rent costs, it would more than make up what, that fee that you'd end up paying for breaking your lease. So if that sounds interesting, definitely check out the local markets and make sure to really find out what the fine and what the process is for breaking the lease. That's it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you are new to the channel and you liked and enjoyed this video, definitely hit the thumbs up button and subscribe so that you don't miss any new videos that I publish. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week.